everybody. I'm here at Cressbrook Dale. I'm on the hunt for the £1 million anti-vax sanctuary that I've been ordered to tear down according to all of the tabloid newspapers. It's been an extraordinary week, and if it wasn't already obvious to you, hopefully it will be obvious by now that what you read in the newspapers is not even close to the truth. And if they're lying to you on such a grotesque scale about certain things, then it stands to reason that we should be asking ourselves, what else are they lying about? And what else are they not reporting? Because of course, if you look at the ownership of all of the major newspapers in the UK, trace them back to their parent companies and to their ownership, you will know that they are all owned or funded or affiliated to, in some shape or form, the strategic partners of the World Economic Forum. So these newspapers have an agenda. Yeah, so when it comes to truth speakers like me who are speaking out, is it any wonder that they will attempt to completely demolish me publicly, especially now I am standing for election, and my first campaign is for the local elections, and I'm standing in the Bakewell ward as a councillor. But of course the big one is next year. It's the general election in 2024. Well, it could be earlier, but we're assuming. It doesn't look like the Conservatives are going to hold on to power, so they will want to delay that election for as long as they can to make sure that they can bulldoze through the... Someone's vandalised another one of our beautiful steps, so I'm just going to make it safe. Yeah, because of course this campaign is it's all about power and control. It's nothing to do with the people or the safety, because these amazing steps, which were put in place by one of our members, took the initiative to create these, because before, where these steps currently are, before it was just a slippery, steep, muddy slope on which quite a few people slipped and fell when we were looking at the land. And also some of our members have walking disabilities, so it was extremely tricky for them to walk the land. Just taking out the stakes, stake through the heart. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we've had many messages of gratitude and appreciation from the walkers who come here, because of course this is a public footpath and it makes it so much easier to walk. So why anyone would want to vandalise these steps? Well, there's only one reason. It's pure hatred. And because the locals believe that they have the right, they don't believe that anyone else has any rights. Let's imagine you bought a property in Cressbrook. Imagine you bought a house here, and your next door neighbour decided they didn't like you very much, maybe because of your colour or your race or because of your political views, and they decided to start a vendetta against you, and they decided to start vandalising your property and telling you what you could and couldn't do in your own garden. I mean, the key thing, cause no harm, injury or loss to your fellow man or woman, and we certainly believe that we have caused no harm, injury or loss to any being through being here and with this land. So there's another one been vandalised here, because of course the locals would love nothing more than someone to hurt and injure themselves here. They'd love it. They'd absolutely love you to fall, because it would make them right, wouldn't it? Oh yes, we were right. Those steps are dangerous. Yeah, the steps are dangerous because you vandalised them. But I have to say though, to be fair, not everyone, not all the locals are the aggressive, angry, traumatised, vigilante vandals. Many of the locals are actually quite nice people. And we've had lots of people, I've had people coming up to me and just saying, listen, we don't mind you being here. We don't have an issue with what you're doing. Just want you to know that, And that's been quite sweet. So I don't want to, I think it's just a small minority of angry people who've got a bee in their bonnet and who have launched this massive hate campaign against our community. And of course, one of the first things that we suggested doing, and we invited everyone in the community to be involved in this, we suggested creating some communal gardens. There we go. It's like pulling a thorn out, isn't it? We suggested that wouldn't it be a good idea to use some of the land. We're not talking about this land here, we're talking about the fields in the village, which are, even by the reports, the ecological reports, are not of particular ecological interest to the the authorities. So we suggested, hey, what about us creating some community gardens here? Get everyone involved, anyone who's interested in gardening. There's a good few acres there, I would imagine. I haven't actually measured it. I would imagine it's 2 or 3 acres. But definitely enough land to feed the whole village. And what happened? Everyone went berserk. It was insane, the reaction. You'd think that we'd said, let's build a nuclear testing station there or something. Not just plants and vegetables. Just down here at the brook, washing my hands. Kobe's having a little drink. Beautiful clear water. This is the Cressbrook. Yeah, so of course, 1 year on, and I was listening to, I don't always often listen to BBC Radio, but last night I was listening to BBC Radio 4 Drive Time. And can you believe it? Evan Davis, he was talking about inflation. The latest, I'm paraphrasing now, says something along the lines of, the latest inflation figures are out, and if you take out erratic items like food and fuel, the underlying rate is only 6%. But of course the figure is 10.1, and of course fuel and food are 2 of the most essential items for most households in the UK. So what kind of bullshit cover-up is this, that trying to fudge the fact that inflation is through the roof? And so it's actually a really, really good idea to grow vegetables, and especially to grow vegetables not far from home, in your garden if you've got one. But of course, all of the local community, with the exception of the rich people who bought Cressbrook Hall, whose house is sitting in about 10 acres. That was the hall built by the mill owner, of course. But all of the workers' houses, all of their gardens are kind of pretty much like handkerchiefs, and so not a huge amount of scope. But how about the community coming together, and not just allotments where each person has got an individual little patch, but what about the whole community coming together and designing and creating some amazing organic gardens, growing all sorts of vegetables and herbs, and enough to provide for the whole community? Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be amazing? Would you get cross at that? Would you get cross if a landowner said, hey, I've got this land, look, why don't we use it? Why don't we all use it to grow veg? And we're not talking about the land here in the Dale. We're talking about land up in the village, which had some horses grazing on it, which moved off last year. They may well be manifesting themselves. Yes, of course we want to look after nature, and we want to look after all of the creatures. But how about looking after the people? How about looking after the people? Anyway, The whole thing is pretty insane, but I do get that we are dealing with a lot of trauma here, a lot of primal fear, a lot of primal rage. So we just decided a while ago just to kind of hold space and let it all play out. Anyway, it is what it is, and it's a beautiful sunny day. It's a new moon solar eclipse this morning, early hours of this morning, 5 a.m. this morning. It's funny because quite often this happens to me. I kind of woke up at like 4:30, wide awake, and I kind of realised that it was kind of at my sort of body clock waking me up. So I was awake at the moment of the new moon, so I was just lying in bed, just kind of visioning all sorts of beautiful possibilities for harmonious outcomes. And I think a lot of people are in that place right now. We're not really interested in engaging in the shit show. It's collapsing under the weight of its own deceit and tyranny. There are many, many people now who are simply focusing all their energy, all their vibration on coming together, singing, chanting mantras, community, having fun together, laughing together, and co-creating the kind of life we do want, rather than this constant division and war and vandalism and aggression. So it's always beautiful to come out here to Cressbrook Dale. It really clears my energy field, and been instructed by Joel Gazdar to do a little bit of foraging. So I'm going to be collecting some leafy green wild plants while I'm here today, which I'm going to juice up and drink later. It's very beautiful to eat the produce of your own land. And tune in, keep tuning in. So, sending you all lots of love. We will see what happens next in the Crossbrook Saga. So here we are back in the kitchen, and here's the poo bag, unscented, full of my foraging. So I managed to find 3 of the 4 things on the list. So we've got in here, we've got dandelion, and we want the leaves of the dandelion, which I obviously like that. And I've got a bowl of natural living water here to soak them in. So I'm just going to separate them out because I didn't actually have the right tools. So take the stalk off that one. I'm going to put these through the juicer, so we don't want any woody stalks. So I'm going to remove those. So these are dandelion. We have some, this is called cleavers, it's sticky willow. You can see that. And we also have, which is why I'm wearing gloves, some nettles. Now the thing about these plants is that, this is according to Joel, that because they are so hardy, they grow incessantly without any need for farmers to get involved, or, you know, it doesn't matter what the weather is, whether it snows, they're basically very, very hardy. And so by consuming them, you are essentially drinking yourself invincible. And the thing about leafy greens is they're very, very good for your liver. They're very good for anger and soothing the liver, basically. All leafy greens are super healthy. Okay, so here we have the leaves, which have been soaked for an hour. I'm just going to drain them. And so I'm going to get this going. I'm going to juice them. this is what we have. Okay, so here's a moment of truth. Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh my goodness, that is so powerful. Extremely bitter, but a real plant medicine. So I think with a drink like this, it is to be seen like drinking a medicine for your health rather than something that you're drinking for enjoyment. And it certainly helps to have that lime and ginger to take the edge off. So I have now consumed Cressbrook Dale.